of the Nickelodeon age of cinema in 1900 and the packed movie houses that featured these short films proved that people wanted to see dramatic stories. With the success of the 1903 film The Great Train Robbery, it was just a matter of time before a story about organized crime made it to the big screen. The 1906 film The Black Hand, which stars Robert Vignola, who was born in Lucania, not far from the scenes of DiGianni's films, tells the story of an Italian butcher whose daughter is being held for ransom. Set in New York City, the 10-minute film is known to be the first of the mafia genre.
So goodbye, Broadway. Hello, France. We're going to swear our death to you.
The dedicated immigrants forged ahead. Less than a decade later, they were rolling up their sleeves to help defend America in the First World War. And those who stayed home were bringing their first generation of American descendants into the world.
We therefore recommend that the Congress of the United States immediately propose an amendment to the federal Constitution repealing the 18th Amendment.
1920 kicked off with the ratification of the 18th Amendment, or Prohibition, and a decade-long battle to do away with it.
There has been no suggestion made by anyone that will put more people to work in shorter time than to open the breweries and let the people have good, wholesome beer.
They say we want beer. My friends, if you bring back beer, you'll bring back the bar. If you bring back the bar, you have the saloon. The same old institution with the flag over the door, with the license on the wall, with the sawdust on the floor, with the bar lined with the boys and bums, spending their money, debauching their characters, rotting their bodies, and jeopardizing their immortal souls.
Americans had their fill of propaganda in cinema during the war years, and those films, even the ones in production at the end of the war, were abandoned. So Metro Pictures in Hollywood took a chance on a film with anti-war sentiments featuring an unknown actor. With this scene in the 1921 film, The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, a new star and a new era were born. An immigrant himself from southern Italy, Lucania's neighboring region of Puglia, Rudolph Valentino had a sensual elegance about him, but could also be one of the boys. The mid-1920s murder trial of Nicola Sacco and Bartolomeo Vanzetti proved that stereotyping Italian immigrants as criminals was still prevalent. Although the two were involved in anarchist groups and spoke out against the government, there was no concrete evidence they had committed murder, and people around the world protested the 1927 execution. With the anti-mafioso sentiment fresh in mind, a year later in 1928, New York law enforcement was trying to keep organized crime under control and came up with this interesting plan.
That's why the police are doing such a notable service to the community in taking the stuff for a ride and dumping it out into the deep blue sea. Now all they have to do is dump the gangsters right after them, and everything will be swell.
The next decade didn't bring much respite. The stock market crash of 1929 sparked the beginning of the Great Depression. But the 1940s brought some peace, and those first-generation babies were now grown up and starting families of their own.